Hi, how are you doing? Alright. Yeah. And you?
No.
No? Why not?
I don't think we have time for
We are
this.
not prepared.
Alright.
But wish you good luck.
Yeah, thanks. よし、行こう。ここも危ないね。ちょっとね、斜面。滑る。
On October 28th, 2019, a man started a live broadcast on Nico Video, a Japanese streaming platform titled Let's Go to Snowy Mount Fuji. At first, his followers were having fun and sending messages of support in the chat. However, one small slip would change everything forever. Tetsu Shiohara, a 47-year-old man, was entering middle age. He was born in Matsuyama, Japan, but later moved to Tokyo, where he spent his days alone in a small house. With few friends, Tetsu seemed to be a rather lonely person. In Japanese culture, a 47-year-old man who has not married or had children may be considered a failure by society. Despite this, his live broadcasts showed that he was a calm man who liked to lead a quiet life. A few years ago, Tetsu discovered he had stage 4 cancer. Instead of spending his remaining time locked in an office, he decided to quit his career as a lawyer to go live, cycling the streets and sharing his new routine. Tetsu seemed to have accumulated a good amount of money, which allowed him to follow his dream until cancer put an end to his story. This is because cancer is a scary disease. In 2022, around 10 million people will die from it worldwide. Stage 4 is considered terminal because the cancer continues to grow and spread to other organs, making it incurable. However, this does not mean that the person will die immediately, as some patients can still live for a few more years, even a decade. Going back to Tetsu's story, he had been live streaming for a while now, but was still unable to attract a large audience. He was just an ordinary man, with no special features that attracted attention, and the competition online is very high. Despite this, his few followers had a special affection for him. Even though the chances of survival were only 1% according to doctors, Tetsu continued his treatment, believing he could beat the disease. He had already visited Mount Fuji a few times to admire the view, and, relying on his previous experiences, decided to try climbing the 12.390 feet height peak, equal to 3,776 meters. The big problem was that the higher you went, the steeper the terrain, which increased the risk of falling. Only experienced climbers should attempt this feat, and Tetsu, who had spent most of his life working in an office, didn't fit the bill. Although Mount Fuji is relatively easy to climb compared to other mountains and receives around 200,000 annual visitors, it was not without its dangers, especially in autumn and winter, when snow and ice increase the risk of accidents. It is estimated that between 5 and 10 people die every year on Mount Fuji when trying to climb the mountain, and these deaths generally end up occurring due to lack of care and taking necessary risks during the climb. Then, one morning in October 2019, Tetsu started a new live stream on the Nico Video platform, this time trying to climb Mount Fuji during autumn. The site was closed at the time due to snow, which increased the risk of slips and falls. At around 8 o'clock that morning, Tetsu took his climbing equipment out of his backpack and showed it to his audience. However, unlike a professional climber, who would carry ropes, emergency kit, and supplies, Tetsu only took a pair of gloves, hiking poles, his cell phone, and the camera. So after a few minutes of walking, Tetsu was so confident that he jumped over the sign blocking the path and warning tourists about the great dangers of climbing Mount Fuji during the autumn season, completely ignoring it. During the climb, he used an application that reads spectators' comments out loud, but he did not take important equipment for this journey as mentioned before, missing a boot with metal hooks on the sole, which helped secure his feet to the ground in unfavorable terrain, preventing the climber from slipping and falling. So, Tetsu was ill-prepared for the intense cold, with temperatures below freezing, which increased the risk of hypothermia. During the broadcast, he mentioned that his fingers were hurting and regretted not having brought a HIT pack, a bag of chemicals that when mixed provides heat and is generally used to relieve muscle pain or to warm the body. Since he forgot the HIT pack, his fingers could be starting to suffer from frostbite, a serious condition caused by the skin and underlying tissues freezing, leading to necrosis. Despite spectators warning Tetsu of the dangers, he continued his climb. As they approached the peak, the slope of the terrain increased, and the snow and ice made the climb even more dangerous. During the broadcast, viewers encouraged Tetsu to continue climbing carefully, motivating him to reach his goal.
カイロやっぱあった方がよかったね。ああいうの持ってこなかった。
However, as he continued walking, Tetsu was suffering from the unfavorable terrain conditions. But he was still safe as there was a protective fence that would prevent him from sliding down the mountain. Nevertheless, he continued moving forward, and without the support of his boots, Tetsu unfortunately slipped and fell on a steep part of the mountain,
滑る。
and then slid down, holding his cell phone as he went down. The camera attached to his body stopped filming when he hit a rock, and the cell phone in his hand was thrown. Immediately, the spectators alerted Japanese authorities in the Yamanashi district, close to Mount Fuji, who sent a helicopter to the location to look for him and find out if Tetsu was still alive and in need of help. Despite the intense search, Tetsu was not immediately found. 3 days later, on October 30th, a group of 10 men were sent to the mountain to conduct a more detailed search of the site, and the men found Tetsu's body at the 7th station of Mount Fuji. It was partially buried in snow at a height of 9.840 feet, or 3,000 meters. Unfortunately, he had fallen about 800 meters, and the fall was so violent that the body was very injured, making it difficult for forensic experts to recognize the body. And then, official confirmation of his death was only made the following month. Tetsu became the most famous of the climbers who died trying to climb Mount Fuji during the autumn and winter, as the accident occurred during a live broadcast. Although it is not prohibited to climb Mount Fuji during the closure to visitors, the government does not employ staff to stop climbers due to the cost, considering that Mount Fuji is large, and it would be necessary to hire many staff, especially in autumn and winter. This combined with the labor crisis in Japan, which is why the government only places several warnings at the entrance and on the path, and climbers decide whether or not they want to proceed. Unfortunately, Tetsu's memory was disrespected by some Twitter users, who criticized him in an exaggerated and offensive way. Many have forgotten that Tetsu was battling stage for cancer, and may have made impulsive decisions due to fear of a slow, painful death. In 2020, Tetsu was the first Japanese person to receive the Darwin Award, given to people who died performing reckless actions. The organizers of Darwin Awards said Tetsu demonstrated a classic case of misplaced priorities when the live streamer insisted he must continue to operate his live stream, although he was suffering from frostbites. This award is named after Charles Darwin due to the theory of natural selection. According to the Darwin Awards website, the Darwin Awards laud individuals who sacrifice their own lives for the gene pool. Darwin Award winners eliminate themselves in an extraordinarily idiotic manner, thereby improving our species' chances of long-term survival, the website said. So, what do you think about this case? Would you have the courage to climb Mount Fuji? Leave your opinions in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.